seen that they kept momentum since they started. The last week demonstrations were attended by the numbers that they were expecting, so it's still keeping the momentum. But now, come on, we have to think about some new strategies. The protesters are being challenged, and they are being challenged by the regime because for several reasons. One is that the regime, the protesters did not really expect that the regime would last this long. So they were expecting some sort of a Tunisian uprising that you would take a week or 10 days or 2 weeks the maximum. This is not going. Thank you. This is not going to happen. The regime has showed very high level of persistence, stubbornness. The regime is stubborn, is continuing, is using a tit-for-tat approach. You send 1 million demonstrators in the street. I give you this. You send an additional, and I give you this. And the regime has so many cards to play, and we have seen that they have used so many, which is whether it's the appointing of Omar Suleiman, the vice president, or the changes in the NDP, the National Democratic Party leadership, or like the release of Wael Ghanem today. Or so, what the regime is
see how many cards they've got left, I guess, isn't it?
And they still have so many. You know, they still have so many, and they can use concessions. So, which is the long-term strategy? The regime is trying to drain the protesters and use all their resources. That's why the protesters are challenged now, and they have to come up with a new strategy.
Dr. Ibrahim Shakir joining us from the Brookings Centre in Doha. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Let's move on to other news now. Rival military officers from North and South Korea have met for the first time since the shelling of a South Korean island back in November. Now, these talks are aimed at perhaps easing some of the tensions on the Korean peninsula and kick-starting the stalled North Korean nuclear negotiations. More from Stephanie Scowen.
The location is all too familiar, the truce village of Panmunjom. But the meeting between North and South Korean military officers is not. Coming together for the first time in 5 months, these colonel-level talks are the first stage in getting the two Koreas' volatile relationship back on an even keel. Tensions on the Korean peninsula have been at their highest level in years following Pyongyang's shelling of a South Korean island in November and revelations of advances to the North's nuclear program. Both sides have been under pressure from the US and China to tone down their rhetoric. It's hoped the dialogue will pave the way for a resumption of stalled disarmament negotiations. But officials say it may take several rounds of low-level talks before a meeting of senior officials takes place. The talks come as the US Special Envoy for Human Rights in North Korea held a meeting with South Korea's nuclear envoy to discuss North Korean issues. Wee Seung-lak is due in Beijing this week for a 2-day visit also aimed at restarting stalled nuclear talks. Stephanie Scowen, Al Jazeera.
Running you through some other news from the Asia-Pacific now. Tensions remain high between Thai and Cambodian troops along their disputed border. Firing stopped, but soldiers are bracing for more clashes. Both countries lay claim to this area, and fighting over the past 4 days has forced residents on both sides to evacuate the border region. Japanese car manufacturer Toyota has reported a 39% drop in profits during its last quarter. The company is blaming a sales slump and a strong yen for the fall. But the world's biggest automaker has lifted its forecasted annual operating profit, I should say, because of strong sales in the first 9 months. Last month, Toyota recalled nearly 1.7 million vehicles worldwide over concerns about a fuel leak. Still with Japan, cheerleaders and performers have encouraged a 1,000-strong crowd of young job seekers. The annual Tokyo event is organised by schools across Japan to motivate students ahead of graduation day in March. Years of economic stagnation has made Japan's employment market particularly tough. Australia's Prime Minister Julia Gillard has struggled to hold back tears while speaking about those killed in last month's devastating floods. She also paid tribute to emergency workers who helped in rescue efforts during a condolence motion in the Australian Parliament. She was visibly upset as she spoke about a 13-year-old boy killed in the flooding.
The courage it takes for a young boy, 13-year-old Jordan Rice, to say to his rescuers, "Take my brother first." And before that brave rescuer could return, Jordan and Mum Donna were taken by the flood. But the legend of Jordan's amazing courage will go on. A hero in the purest sense of the word.
We've got plenty more ahead for you this news hour. Back to Egypt.
Say the revolution won't be televised. Al Jazeera proved them wrong. Twitter has them paralyzed. 80 million strong.
Songs of Resistance, the artists rapping to the beat of Egypt's uprising. We're going to speak to one of them. And in sport, could this be the end of Kubica's Formula One career? We'll find out the latest on his recovery. There he is.
In a new series of one-hour documentaries, Al Jazeera English showcases films from across the Al Jazeera network.
They were fighters, assassins, insurgents, and icons. They took up arms to become an integral part of Lebanon's 15-year civil war. The war through the eyes of the women who fought on the front lines.
Al Jazeera World.
Home to a diversity of rare species, Latvia's pristine woodlands are a place of magic. But with a strained economy and an eager market, forests are rapidly perishing, and with them their inhabitants. People and Power investigates how 60% of Latvia's timber ends up on UK shelves with a questionable seal of approval. Latvia's pulp fiction, at this time on Al Jazeera.
It is in the details, a look, a connection, the moments that reveal the truth. Award-winning documentaries from critically acclaimed filmmakers. Witness documentaries to open your eyes. At this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back, all your sport on the news hour now with Sana.
Thank you very much, Kamal. Our Formula One driver, Robert Kubica, has started recovery, which could possibly take a whole year. The Pole has regained consciousness after a 7-hour operation to try and save his hand. His doctors said the early signs are encouraging, but he may need more surgery following his career-threatening crash in Raleigh in Italy on Sunday. Guy McCree reports.
At last, some better news for those closest to Robert Kubica. After 7 hours of surgery aimed at saving his right hand, the Formula One driver awoke from an induced coma.
My patient spent this night in a good condition. The condition is stabilized. The hand is warmer. It's a good signal. And actually, I have to go and see him right now.
Far away from the glamour of the Formula One circus, Kubica was driving this rally car in a relatively minor event in Italy when he crashed, leaving him with multiple fractures to his right arm, leg and hand. Kubica's recovery time has been put at around a year if the next few days show the hand surgery was totally successful.
As I told yesterday, we need 5 or 6 days more to see if the hand is well vascularized and much more time to see what will be the function. But we have to think positive.
Kubica, who's Poland's first ever Formula One driver, is likely to miss all of the new season, which starts in Bahrain next month. But after initial reports suggested his entire career was in doubt, Kubica's boss now thinks he could even return to the track later this year.
He's clearly suffering from the wounds on his leg and arm. But compared to 24 hours ago, I feel extremely relieved. The improvement that he's made, in my opinion, is of great significance, and this makes us hopeful for the future.
Morelli may be proven right, but there are likely to be further twists and turns before it's certain if Kubica can race at the sport's highest level again. Guy McCree, Al Jazeera.
Tennis star Rafael Nadal and Olympic skiing champion Lindsey Vonn have added to their collection of titles on Monday after they were named Sportsman and Woman of the Year at the prestigious Laureus Sports Awards. The awards, which took place in Abu Dhabi, recognize sporting achievements and are the premier honors in the international sporting year. American Fawn was awarded after winning the women's downhill at the Vancouver Olympics and the third consecutive overall world title. Spaniard Nadal was named after his 3 Grand Slam wins in 2010 and ending the year as world #1. And it was a double celebration for Spain as their football team were named the Team of the Year after winning the 2010 World Cup in South Africa.
Well, good evening, everybody. First thing, I cannot thank enough the Academy to give me the more prestigious